Most retirees believe their Roth 401k is essentially the same as a Roth IRA. They make contributions with after-tax dollars. The growth is tax-free. The distributions in retirement are tax-free. What is the difference? Here's the difference that almost no one talks about and that used to cost disciplined savers significantly. Until the recent changes under Secure Act 2.0, Roth 401k accounts were subject to required minimum distributions starting at age 73, just like traditional 401ks. Roth IRAs, by contrast, have never been subject to RMDs during the original owner's lifetime. Under Secure Act 2.0, the RMD requirement for Roth 401k accounts has been eliminated starting in 2024, but many retirees still have Roth 401k balances with employer plans that have their own administrative quirks, investment limitations, and beneficiary treatment that differ from what a Roth IRA offers. For almost all retirees, rolling a Roth 401k into a Roth IRA before RMDs would have started, or at a strategic point in early retirement, is the right move. This video walks through exactly why, how to do it correctly, and the traps that can turn a smart move into a tax event that should never have happened. This video is for educational purposes only and is not personalized tax, financial, or legal advice. Consult a qualified professional for guidance on your specific situation. Retirement account rollovers have specific reporting and timing requirements, and mistakes can create taxable distributions where none were intended. Always coordinate with your account custodians and a qualified tax or financial advisor before executing a rollover. Let me start with the basic architecture. A Roth 401k is a designated Roth account within a qualified employer retirement plan funded with after-tax contributions. The money grows tax-free, and qualified distributions in retirement are tax-free. A Roth IRA is an individual retirement account you establish with a bank, brokerage, or other custodian, also funded with after-tax contributions, also growing tax-free with tax-free qualified distributions. Both vehicles use the same fundamental tax treatment for the underlying Roth contributions, but the administrative wrapper is different, and those differences matter in retirement. Difference number one: before 2024, Roth 401k accounts were subject to required minimum distributions starting at the same age as traditional 401ks, which is now 73 under Secure Act 2.0. Even though the distributions would be tax-free, the requirement to take them forced retirees to draw down the account on a fixed schedule, limiting the ability to let the tax-free growth compound further. Under Secure Act 2.0, this RMD requirement on Roth 401k balances has been eliminated starting in 2024. Retirees with Roth 401k balances no longer have to take RMDs from those accounts during their lifetime. However, and this is the key subtlety, the change in law does not mean the administrative practices of every employer plan have adjusted smoothly. Some plans still have operational quirks around Roth 401k distributions. Some plans have default distribution rules that apply once a participant reaches a certain age. Some plans charge administrative fees to retired participants. Some plans have limited investment options that may not align with your retirement strategy. Rolling your Roth 401k into a Roth IRA eliminates these administrative complications entirely. Difference number two: investment flexibility. A Roth 401k generally offers the investment menu provided by the employer plan, typically a dozen to 2 dozen mutual funds, and perhaps a brokerage window for self-directed investing. A Roth IRA at a major custodian gives you access to essentially any publicly traded security, thousands of mutual funds, and significantly more flexibility. In retirement, when you are managing your own investments directly, the broader menu of a Roth IRA is almost always preferable. Difference number three: fees. Employer 401k plans often charge administrative fees, and some plans charge higher fees to former employees than to current employees. Some plans charge a flat quarterly fee that can add up meaningfully over retirement. Roth IRAs at most major custodians have no account fees, and the investment expense ratios are often lower than the institutional shares available inside 401k plans, though not always. Compare the specific fee structures before deciding. Difference number four: distribution flexibility. A Roth IRA allows you to take qualified distributions of earnings tax-free at any time after age 59 and a half, provided the 5-year rule is met. The 5-year rule on Roth IRAs starts from the date you first contributed to any Roth IRA. So, if you opened a Roth IRA years ago, even a small one, the 5-year clock may already be complete. A Roth 401k has its own 5-year rule specific to the employer plan. Rolling the Roth 401k to a Roth IRA can consolidate these 5-year clocks in your favor, though the specific rules around rollovers and the 5-year clock require careful attention. Difference number five: beneficiary treatment. Both accounts can pass to beneficiaries, but the administrative handling of beneficiary claims differs. Employer 401k plans sometimes have more restrictive beneficiary rules or require the surviving spouse to take the account as a distribution rather than rolling it into an inherited IRA. Roth IRAs are more flexible for beneficiaries, allowing a surviving spouse to either treat the inherited account as their own or take it as an inherited account, and allowing non-spouse beneficiaries to establish inherited Roth IRA accounts, with more flexibility around investment choices and distribution timing, subject to the Secure Act 10-year rule. Now let me walk through how to execute the rollover correctly. The safest method is a direct rollover, also called a trustee-to-trustee transfer. You contact your new Roth IRA custodian, open the Roth IRA if you do not already have one, and request that they initiate a direct rollover from your Roth 401k. The Roth 401k plan administrator sends the funds directly to the new custodian. The money does not pass through your hands. No tax withholding is triggered. The rollover is reported on Form 1099-R as a direct rollover with distribution code H, which flags it as a non-taxable event. Compare this to an indirect rollover, where the plan administrator sends a check to you, and you then deposit it into a Roth IRA within 60 days. This method is more dangerous. First, the plan administrator is required to withhold 20% of the distribution for federal tax purposes, even though the rollover itself is not taxable. You must then come up with the 20% from other sources to complete the full rollover. If you do not, that 20% is treated as a taxable distribution. Second, if you miss the 60-day window, even by a day, the entire distribution becomes taxable and subject to early withdrawal penalties if you are under 59.5. Third, the IRS limits you to one indirect rollover per 12-month period across all your IRAs. A direct rollover has no such limit. Always request a direct rollover for Roth 401k to Roth IRA transfers. It is the cleanest, safest, and most straightforward method. Consider Linda. She retired from her marketing director position at 63 with a Roth 401k balance of $240,000 and a traditional 401k balance of $620,000. She was aware of the option to roll over her accounts, but she assumed she should keep them where they were until something forced her to act. At 68, her employer notified her that the plan was being transferred to a new administrator and that former employees' accounts would be subject to a new quarterly fee. Linda decided to roll over both accounts. Her Roth 401k went to a Roth IRA at a major brokerage, and her traditional 401k went to a traditional IRA at the same brokerage. The rollover was executed as direct trustee-to-trustee transfers. No tax was triggered. She gained access to a broader investment menu, eliminated the administrative fees, and simplified her account oversight. In retirement, she managed the assets herself with a fee-only advisor. She paid hourly for guidance. Now, why do this before RMDs would have started? Even though the RMD requirement on Roth 401ks has been eliminated under Secure Act 2.0, there are still good reasons to complete the rollover in your 60s or early 70s rather than waiting. First, consolidating accounts early gives you more time to implement your retirement investment strategy without the administrative constraints of the employer plan. Second, if you have multiple retirement accounts at multiple custodians, consolidating simplifies your estate and beneficiary coordination. Third, the longer you wait, the more likely you are to encounter an administrative complication with the former employer plan, such as a change in plan administrator, a plan termination, or a change in fee structure. Fourth, the earlier you consolidate, the easier it is to coordinate Roth conversions from your traditional IRA to build additional Roth assets during the window before RMDs start. Consider James and Dorothy. James retired from his engineering career at 62 with a substantial Roth 401k balance built up over the 15 years his employer had offered a Roth option. Dorothy, still working part-time, had her own Roth IRA she had been funding for years. They decided to roll James's Roth 401k into a new Roth IRA in his name at the same custodian where Dorothy held her account. The rollover was executed in the year after James retired, giving him time to establish the Roth IRA, designate beneficiaries, and coordinate the investment allocation with Dorothy's account. When James eventually reaches his mid-70s, there will be no RMD requirement on his Roth IRA, no RMD requirement on his former employer Roth 401k, and no administrative interaction with the former employer. The family's Roth assets are simplified and positioned for tax-free growth for as long as James and Dorothy live, and for a tax-free inheritance for their children subject to the 10-year rule. Here are specific traps to watch out for when executing the rollover. Trap number 1, not opening the Roth IRA first. You need to have a Roth IRA account established and ready to receive the rollover before you initiate the transfer. The new custodian will want account numbers and routing information from the receiving side. Open the Roth IRA first, confirm it is set up correctly, then initiate the rollover. Trap number 2, Mixing the Roth 401k balance with traditional 401k rollover. If your employer plan has both a traditional and a Roth component, make sure the custodian splits them correctly. The Roth portion must go to a Roth IRA, and the traditional portion must go to a traditional IRA. A mistake here can trigger a taxable conversion or prohibited rollover. Trap number 3, forgetting about the 5-year rule. The Roth IRA 5-year rule applies to qualified distributions of earnings. If you're rolling a large Roth 401k balance into a newly opened Roth IRA, the Roth IRA 5-year clock starts from your first contribution to any Roth IRA, not the rollover. If you never contributed to a Roth IRA before the rollover, the 5-year clock starts with the rollover date. In practice, most retirees over 59 and a half who already have an established Roth IRA meet the 5-year requirement easily. Those opening a Roth IRA for the first time in retirement should plan for a 5-year window before earnings distributions are fully qualified. Trap number 4, outdated beneficiary designation on the former employer plan. If you are keeping a Roth 401k at a former employer, for any reason, make sure the beneficiary designation is current. Rolling to a Roth IRA allows you to designate new beneficiaries on the new account, but until the rollover is complete, the old designation governs. Trap number 5, rolling to a custodian with limited service. Some custodians are better at retirement account administration than others. A custodian with poor customer service, limited beneficiary support, or complex distribution procedures can create headaches in retirement. Research the custodian's retirement services before completing the rollover. Trap number 6, forgetting to update. Form 882 if your address is different from what the former employer has on file. If a tax document related to the rollover is mailed to an old address, you may miss it and have trouble reconstructing the transaction history. Trap number 7, executing the rollover in a year with unusual tax circumstances. The rollover itself is not taxable, but receiving Form 1099-R with a large distribution amount can generate IRS inquiries if the form is not properly flagged as a rollover. Make sure the distribution code on the 1099-R is H for a direct rollover to a Roth IRA. An incorrect code can delay resolution with the IRS. Let me also address the interaction with your overall tax strategy. Rolling a Roth 401k to a Roth IRA does not change your taxable income for the year. It is a non-taxable event. But the rollover can free up planning opportunities. With the Roth 401k balance now in a Roth IRA, you have more flexibility to do partial Roth conversions from your traditional IRA to further build your Roth assets. The conversion from traditional to Roth is taxable, so the strategy has to be calibrated against your marginal tax bracket, RMA thresholds, and state tax. But having a clean, flexible Roth IRA makes the conversion strategy easier to implement over multiple years. Consider Eleanor and Harold. Eleanor retired from her nursing career at 64 with a Roth 401k balance and a traditional 401k balance. Harold, a retired electrician, had his own traditional IRA. After consolidating their accounts, they worked with a tax advisor to implement a multi-year Roth conversion strategy. Each year, they converted enough of their traditional IRAs to Roth to fill up the 12% federal tax bracket without crossing into higher brackets or triggering RMA surcharges. Over 7 years, they converted about $300,000 of traditional IRA assets to Roth. The conversions were taxable, but they paid tax at 12% during their retirement years, avoiding the 22 or 24% rate their RMDs would have triggered at age 73. By the time their RMDs began on the remaining traditional IRA balance, the RMD amount was much lower, and a substantial portion of their retirement assets was in Roth accounts, tax-free for life and passing to their children as a tax-free inheritance subject to the 10-year rule. The Roth 401k rollover was the foundational step that made this strategy possible. Without consolidating to Roth IRAs, the planning would have been more complex and less flexible. A few more practical tips. When you initiate the rollover, ask the former employer plan for a detailed statement of your Roth 401k contributions, Roth 401k earnings, and any Roth conversions that were done within the plan if your plan offered an in-plan Roth conversion option. This documentation helps establish the basis of your Roth IRA for future reference. Keep it with your tax records. If you have employer stock in a traditional 401k account, separate from the Roth 401k. Investigate the net unrealized appreciation, or NUA, strategy before rolling that portion. NUA allows you to take the employer stock as a distribution and pay ordinary income tax only on the cost basis, with the appreciation eligible for long-term capital gains treatment when eventually sold. NUA only applies to employer stock held in a traditional 401k, not to Roth 401k stock. But if you have both, consider the NUA strategy on the traditional side before doing any rollovers. Finally, schedule the rollover in a year that makes sense for your broader tax picture. While the rollover itself is not taxable, completing it in a year when you're also doing other significant financial transactions, such as a home sale or a large Roth conversion, can create reporting complexity. A smoother year, with simpler other tax events, is easier to navigate if any reporting issue arises. If this video has been useful, I want to thank you for watching and encourage you to subscribe if you have not already. I am building a library of retirement finance content that covers the specific forms, deadlines, and strategies that actually matter for people navigating their 60s, 70s, and beyond. If you are considering a Roth 401k rollover, share this video with a friend or family member who might be in the same situation. The rules have changed meaningfully under Secure Act 2.0, and many retirees are sitting on employer Roth 401k balances without realizing that rolling them to a Roth IRA is one of the simplest and most beneficial moves available. Take care of the rollover, work with a qualified advisor to coordinate the broader strategy, and set yourself up for a retirement where your Roth assets grow tax-free without administrative friction. That is the kind of structural clarity every retiree deserves, and it starts with a single conversation with the new custodian and a carefully executed direct transfer.